How are we all? This is gonna be the last video of 2024, and I'm not deliberately dressed up fancy. This is an adult decision. I went for a fancy schmancy dinner the other day and wore this outfit, but I couldn't really justify putting it in the wash after just wearing it for that dinner. So I'm now just wearing it today and for this video. I wanted to reflect on the year and touch on 2024, and without wanting to be cheesy, how I feel like I kind of changed my life this year, which wouldn't be an understatement at all. And I'm going to split it up into different sections and try to find ways that not only would this video be just interesting if you're interested in my little life, but also ways that you can then implement some of these things into your life, and hopefully 2025 will be nice and successful for you in whatever way you define success. So I think if we go back to the start of the year, and something that I'm sure you've pretty much heard me talk about a million times and show you a million times, is the photo shoot that I did. Now, I'm well aware that for 99% of people watching this, doing a photo shoot is something that you could not care less about. And I completely understand that. For me, the photo shoot was a bit of a personal goal. I would say like 30-40% a personal goal, but then it was like 60-70% more of a business decision. Something that I could use to help with my online coaching and to use those photos to show people essentially what I'm capable of and what I can help you to do. So I get that the photo shoot element isn't something that everyone's going to be interested in. However, even if your goal is simply just to lose 5 kilos, lose 10 kilos, be able to run for longer, climb up the stairs without running out of breath, changing your body and your health in a way that impacts your day-to-day life, and more than anything increases your confidence, because that was the biggest thing for me with the photo shoot. It was a confidence thing, and again, split between personal and business. Personally, I felt more confident. Like, all of a sudden I was looking better, I was feeling better, felt more confident even just walking down the street. To some people that might sound really vain and really pointless, but at the end of the day, confidence is a huge thing. It's an important thing. And I was able to increase my confidence through also improving my health. Okay, yes, being that lean for the photo shoot day itself obviously isn't healthy, but there's obviously a point where having lower body fat levels in comparison to where I started was far healthier for me, and I'm still in that position right now. But then on the flip side of that as well, I've got the business confidence where it increased because I was able to show people, yeah, I'm not just talking the talk, like I can actually walk the walk, and I can help you with the things that you want to achieve, even if it's not quite this extreme. There might be bits of what I did and what I achieved that you also want to achieve as well. So going into 2025, for the 99% of you that could not care less about standing semi-naked with coconut oil rubbed on you in front of a camera, which I fully understand, that doesn't mean that greatly changing your physique and your health and your fitness isn't going to have a huge impact on how you feel overall, and more importantly, your confidence. So for me, doing that photo shoot was life-changing and has kind of snowballed into other things happening. One of those other things that happened for me was opening myself up to other people who aren't trans, which for me has always been really, really difficult and something that I just haven't really done. I'm not someone who walks around with a flag wrapped around them, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, it's just not me. And that might surprise some people, because obviously with the job that I do and working with the people that I do, I spend like 70-80% of my life online talking about being trans. But you have to understand that's only because that's how my business is marketed. Like, if I want to work with trans people, I have to talk about being trans. But I always say to people, if I didn't do the job that I did right now, I probably wouldn't even have social media. And there's a very high chance I might even be stealth. I think the thing is, like, the less of something you do, you lose even more confidence in that thing. And when you hit a setback, which inevitably you're gonna, like, there's always gonna be people that hate me because I'm trans. There's also gonna be people that hate me because they don't like me regardless of me being trans. But there will be people out there who are gonna hate me for being trans. And my way of dealing with that was to never put myself out there. But you just end up making yourself miserable and feel ashamed of who you are, which I suppose essentially was basically the hole that I dug myself. And I'm by no means out of that hole now. But what my ramblings is getting to is, when I did my photo shoot, I did 2 photo shoots. The second one was solo, but the first one was a group shoot. So my coach at the time was running a free group photo shoot where, as long as you were a paying client with him, you could turn up to this group shoot. And the main reason that I did that was because I wanted to get some experience in that, that photo studio before my own solo shoot, because it was with the same photographer in the same studio. What it turned into actually was literally one of the best days of my life. And that was because I went there scared that people were going to be asking me questions, staring at my scar. Just generally, I just didn't think that people would be particularly nice. And I wasn't dreading it, but I was going there solely for the purpose of wanting the experience before my own photo shoot. And we'd already been told that we would go out for dinner afterwards. And I'm not going to lie to you, anyone watching this that went to that photo shoot, or Paul, my coach, probably not watching this, but just in case, I apologise for what I'm about to say now, but I really didn't want to go out for dinner afterwards. I was dreading it because I just wanted to get in and get out. And I couldn't have been more wrong. It's literally one of the best days of my life. People were so nice. And I remember saying to Paul, my coach, afterwards, like, these people have followed me on social media, where whenever I go anywhere and people ask for my social media, I don't give it out because I don't want people to know that I'm trans. But people had actually sought me out, followed me regardless of that. And all of those things were like huge to me. And they allowed me to start to feel more confident in opening myself up. And again, I'm going to have setbacks. Like, there's going to be people who don't like me for being trans. But I think that happening is a lot less likely than I used to think. And then also, speaking of Paul, I would say that just him taking me on as a client was a huge thing for me, because one of the reasons that I do what I do as a job, being an online coach who works just with trans people, my job, and one of the reasons I wanted to set it up, is because I am able to eliminate that fear for people. Like, if you come to me for a consult, you haven't got to come out like, I just know you're trans, because you're coming to work with me. And I know all these intricate details, fears that you might have about being in the gym. I know that actually when you start testosterone, if you've been losing weight, that scale might start to stall, because all of a sudden you're gaining a lot more muscle. So you could still be dropping fat, but if that muscle is also being built, it's going to level out that scale. So there's a lot of things that maybe I understand more than other people, which is why everyone that comes to me is trans. Even if I didn't market myself as trans exclusive, I'd probably still only be working with trans people because I understand the problems that they have. But the problem is, I do the job that eliminates that fear for people, which means that I then don't have tons of options, because what I do is pretty niche. There are other trans coaches out there, but I'm very, very picky about who I trust with things. And for me personally, one of the only people that I trusted was Paul Standall, who became my coach, took me through my photo shoot, and just the fact that he didn't slam the computer shut when I told him that I was trans was huge. Processed foods. I've mentioned this before, and I've kind of been cautious about talking about it because I'm wary of over promoting something that I feel is something that impacts me more than it might do other people. I am not, obviously my job involves a lot of nutrition, but it doesn't involve a lot of technical details around things like diving into the chemicals that are in food. Growing up and growing as a coach in this industry, for a very long time, I was, if it fits your macros. And there is nothing wrong with if it fits your macros. From a scientific point of view, it makes perfect sense. Ultimately, if you break it down to the bare basics, weight loss is about calories in versus calories out. You've got to be in a deficit to lose weight. Therefore, as long as you're in a deficit, technically you could lose weight just by living on chocolate and a bit of chicken. And I'm not saying that I took it to that extreme, but I was consuming a lot of processed foods, especially during bulks, in order to get the calories in. It wasn't until I went on to my diet for my photo shoot and I naturally just had to cut out a lot of processed foods because I was on poverty calories, I was basically snorting dust by the end of this shoot. It just meant that the majority of my diet just didn't involve processed foods. And for me, so many health problems cleared up. Now, from looking into it, and when I say looking into it, I mean Googling it, I know that there is a whole load of gut-brain axis stuff clearly at play here, and I think that that is blown up more than maybe some people might feel the effects of processed foods because of my autism. And I don't want to go any further into that because I don't want to create a whole debate in the comment section about gut-brain axis, processed foods, all that shit. Do your own research. I haven't done that much research at all because all I know is I feel better for eliminating a lot of processed foods. I still eat processed foods, but nowhere near as much as I used to. Now we're talking a few times a week as opposed to a few times a day. For me, it seems to be the emulsifiers that caused a load of health issues, and I'm talking physical and mental. My anxiety levels really seriously dropped when I cut out a load of emulsifiers, along with some inflammation that I used to get in my mouth, and also a really weird one, I used to get daily voice cracks. And I just assumed that this was something to do with testosterone, being on T as a trans guy, and my vocal cords I don't really know. But my hormone levels were always fine, so there was nothing I could do about it. Cut out a load of processed foods, and now my voice barely cracks. So again, that was another one that cleared up. For me, cutting out a load of processed foods has completely changed my life. Might do for you, might not, but worst case scenario, it doesn't change your life, but it does improve your health, which, to be fair, is pretty life-changing. After finishing up with Paul, my coach, when I finished my photo shoot prep, I do have plans to go back to Paul. But the reason that I did this is because I wanted to spend some time mentoring with somebody who I've looked up to for a while, Mr. Michael Gordon. Michael is the owner of Integra, which is a personal training studio in London. And it has links to a business in America known as RTS, which is the Resistance Training Specialist. Now, I'd worked with Michael before, but this was on a group course basis. And this year, I actually spent 3 months doing one-to-one mentoring with him, which completely changed my life and is going to carry on changing my life because I have plans to go back from January. We've been doing anatomy deep dives, and as I'm sure you can imagine, with my job, that's a super important thing to know a lot of stuff about. I'm really glad that I made the decision to go and do that. It's worth every penny, and again, that's not going to be something that, unless you're a coach yourself or a PT, you can implement into your life. If you are, 100% go and check out Michael. But if not, my point is, if you are passionate about what you do, you've got to keep on getting better. The only way you're going to get better is to work with people who are better than you. So if you're looking to improve your life next year, whatever your job is, whatever you're passionate about, go out there and find people that are better than you and you want to be as good as them. Now, with everything that has gone on this year, the photo shoot, the mentoring, finding people who have been able to help me to just market myself better and run my social medias better and all of that kind of stuff, it has all compounded into a huge increase in the business this year. So self-made coaching is around about 57% off better this year in terms of turnover than last year. Still nowhere near where I want to be, still got a lot of work to do, but 57% is huge. And that has come from, again, doing the photo shoot, learning from people who know far more about these things than I do in terms of social media and all of that kind of stuff. Being able to see my brand grow and I suppose flourish really into what I've always wanted it to be is amazing to see. And that then obviously has an impact on my personal life. And I've now been able to buy my first place. I'm going to be moving into my own apartment. I currently rent and I cannot wait to have a shower that isn't like one of those handheld showers that I stand under like this in the corner. It's like a proper shower that stays warm and doesn't go cold every 30 seconds. There's going to be no mold. And I also have, it's got its own private entrance. That sounds a lot posher than it actually is. It basically just means the door on the street is my door, no one else uses it. And that means that I'm going to feel a lot more safe because the people in this building, they just like to leave the doors open. They don't like sleeping safely. This is by no means some fancy schmancy apartment like you see in Mayfair. It's a 1-bedroom apartment in my very small town, but it's mine. And that's more than I've got at the minute because I'm currently because I'm currently paying a landlord to inhale mold. So it's by no means a flex. It's if you keep working hard at something, and I'm talking years upon years upon years upon years, you will eventually start to see the fruits of your labour. Because again, I'm still nowhere near where I want to be. There's still a hell of a lot of work to do, but all of those years of hard work are starting to compound, and I have now been able to buy a 1-bedroom apartment, and hopefully in a few years time that 1-bedroom apartment will turn into a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom very small house. So those are all of the things that helped me to change my life in 2024. And by no means am I saying that 2024 was perfect, because it definitely wasn't. Just like anyone, there were a hell of a lot of ups and downs. Being self-employed, being a business owner, it's like this constantly, but what I present to you is, I don't like to dwell on the negatives. I try to just push through, but at the same time, I am realistic. Like I always try to post about the things that have gone wrong so that, you know, I don't appear to just be living the high life. For example, the other year when my car broke and I had to pay £6,000 for a new engine. Like, it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. So I think that is it for this year. I will be back in January for my random monthly instalment. If you miss me in between now and then, if you haven't already, you can head to the link in my bio, download the In Shape Trans Guy Guide. The people that are signed up to that before New Year's Eve will also be getting sent out The Bits You Care About, which is my final ebook installment. I'm not going to be one of these people that releases a new ebook every 3 weeks. This is it for a very long time. But I wanted to really have something that focuses on the upper body because as a trans guy, they're the bits you care about. So in there, you've got a page dedicated to chest, back, shoulders, arms, and then at the end, you get a free upper body workout, which you can use multiple times a week. So again, you'll need to have downloaded the In Shape Trans Guy Guide first in order to receive that will come through to you, the bits that you care about, on New Year's Eve. I hope you will have a great Christmas, and I will see you at some point next year.